back in there, cornerback for Colorado State. Draw play. That draw play is going nowhere thanks to Adrian Ross.
You know who's really struggling to handle Adrian Ross? They've tried everybody. They've tried Josh Brown. They've tried Roy White. They've tried Jager. No one can handle the speed of Adrian Ross to the outside.
Adrian's feeling pretty good. He should. His team's ahead at the end of three quarters, 17-13.
Maybe in the early going here. Very conservative, playing to their defense, and he requested this jersey change. This is a busted play, so there's no lead blocker. Adrian does his job, beats the tight end, makes the tackle. The reason he wanted a single digit was so that he would look bigger. Let me say this.
Bobo is hit from behind and sacked, and there's your buddy Adrian Ross of Colorado State with the sack.
Welcome to the Adrian Ross Show. I'm your host, Adrian Ross. Been having a lot of different topics going on, a lot of stuff going on in the world nowadays. I just want to talk. On this show, I want to talk about what's been going on, the conversations I've been having in my life. I guess the title could kind of be traditions. You know, in this land that we live in here, where I live in, there's a lot of different cultures that come together, but they're inclusive in one whole major culture that gets pronounced to the world. And those are like when we have the Olympic Games and things of that nature, where everybody's all as one, they're all Americans. And I showed that during the last Olympics, where they didn't use black or white one time out the whole broadcast. They never said black or white. Everybody that raced, no matter what they looked like, they were in American or whatever other country they were representing. But then over here, where we live at over here, it gets sliced down into all these different cultures, and we all know it. We all know it by going and eating sushi, going and eating Italian food, going and eating at all these different restaurants, right? No one has a problem with it. When the presidential election was on, it was all this, here comes all the traditions, and that's when they hand out all the little flags, just like the Olympics. And then everybody's all supposed to be into the same mindset and the same traditions. Well, we already know that there's a lot of different people here from a lot of different places. So in conversations I've had, and just give a little background on me. Growing up, I felt that there was things that I knew was the tradition or what people liked in the area. But I always liked what I liked. Growing up in the Bay, then moving up to Elk Grove for high school. Back in the Bay, like in 87, 88, you know, everybody had either a Lakers starter. There was a few Piston starters. It was either Lakers or Celtics. And I remember I was like, I like the Chicago Bulls. So I remember telling my dad to get me a Bulls starter for Christmas. So I got a Bulls starter. And, you know, obviously liking Michael Jordan. And later on, I became more of a Scottie Pippen fan more than Jordan. I like Scottie Pippen. But it was funny because I was a fan of them way back when. And, you know, now if I was to say that today, everybody goes, oh, okay, yeah, you know, you were a Bulls fan. Same thing. Everybody was a Niners or Raiders fan, and I was a Houston Oilers fan. You know, you didn't really see too many people in California liking the Houston Oilers. I liked Warren Moon. I liked the defense, the run and shoot. I liked the uniforms. Maybe it has something to do with probably the first tackle football team I played on was the Oilers. And I liked the colors. I love the baby blue and the white and the red. But that was my team. And we never got a Super Bowl with them, but they're no longer in existence. That franchise is now the Tennessee Titans. But I say that to say that I've grown up in this so-called American culture and traditions of things, but I've been able to make whatever my path be my path. And what I see a lot, especially when it comes to athletics, is there's always a group of people, or now there's 1,000 shows on what to tell an athlete what to do. And I think that now that has carried on over into their lives now, to now where there's one thing to give advice, but there's another thing into telling people how they should do things, and or how they should feel, and or you did that and that made me feel this way. Okay, and I think that there's groups of people that don't want to live with their feelings. Me growing up so-called black, I'm a Moor. There's no such thing. Black and white are statuses. So when you guys hear me say Moor or Albions, that's white. Albion is white. Moors is so-called black. Because even that right there, like we've made the tradition here has made people be chopped up into a category. But then when we speak in those categories that we've been taught, that's the only reason we know. None of us here have invented those categories. So I see this a lot on sometimes when I post a topic. Someone's always talking about race baiting. Oh, that's race baiting. And like that seems like the Albion new thing of don't bring up race when that's all that we've learned in this nation. That's the tradition of this nation that we live in here. Not the world, but this nation that we live here divides everybody up into something. Even so, even religion-wise, like they've now made certain religions be a type of people. Right? Muslim ban. Well, how are you going to get all the Muslims that are already here out of here? But you're banning what? And then what is that? Like what Muslim ban? That has people thinking that it's a type of people. Just like, anyway, I'm not going to go there, but the traditions. So, obviously Kaepernick's been a topic, and people expressed how him kneeling made them feel. And it just like amazes me to the degrees that people are going to feel something. I mean, like we always said all this other stuff, sticks and stones, and all these other sayings that were tradition back in this land. Now all these grown folks get to a certain level and I just can't believe that, and no, I don't care, and have so much emotion about something. Richard Sherman, when the Seattle Seahawks beat the San Francisco 49ers in the NFC Championship game, Aaron Andrews came up to him right after they won the game, and he was excited, and he was really loud during his interview with her, and then he ended up talking trash to maybe, I think it might have been Harbaugh, but I know it was Michael Crabtree. And then from there, he got called a porch monkey and all these other names because him at his work, entertaining other people, some interview they had never seen made them feel some kind of way. And they expressed themselves freely. So you never heard any other news thing. You never heard nothing major saying, wow, these people were calling him this. Well, I guess they brought it up, but it wasn't in the same tone. It wasn't in the same context that when he took a knee, how it made people feel and the traditions that they went off to. So why I bring that up is to say that we're all different. And it wasn't even the thing that Kaepernick did is not even what I'm talking about. He was protesting police brutality against so-called minorities, the actual majorities that they're calling minorities. But that's a tradition that this nation that we live in lies to everybody and calls the majorities the minorities. Because remember, they chopped them all up. So even the term of minorities is already slicing people up. That's the tradition that we live in here. So that's how the news has to speak. That's how we have to speak to it. We don't have to speak that way, but that's what everyone chooses to do because that's what they're teaching us in our schools. Here we go. Here's the one chapter in the history book of Black history. Slavery and civil rights. So why does it have to be labeled Black History? Right? Now, I'm talking to the people that are always talking about race baiting. Like, how can that be something when really there's just the human race? But because they've invented, and your news channels use it during the election, unless no one has any education there, they put up, well, here's the voting statistics. Here you got 64% whites. It says races are here, and then it goes white, Black, Asian, and others. Black race, white race, like those aren't races. But if we speak that and say that, then is it? Or is that just conversation? Is that how we are communicating? And I think that's what a lot of people are getting mixed up is, here's the message. A lot of people are getting mixed up traditions with facts. Just because something's a tradition and you think of it as a said way doesn't make it be a fact. When I got to the National Football League, I always said that I want to do certain things. If I got there, probably would have did that if I had any other job as well. But I want to come back and give knowledge that could help other people on their path. And so I did that. Charity in Sacramento. I had the Mad Backer Celebrity Basketball game for 8 years. And I always heard people always telling all these athletes, do this and do good and do this and do this. And I never really paid attention to it back then, but I always heard, charity and to do certain things. And I did these things because I wanted to. When I look back on that time and me doing these things, what I started to notice was there was only a certain demographic that would be involved and come around my celebrity basketball game in Sacramento. And so every year I worked harder to try to get the message out for the support because I had heard, all these, charity is good and athletes, you guys need to stay out of trouble and you need to do this and you need to do that. And I was one of those guys. And then when I started looking at it, it was just funny how I started seeing, wait a minute, like some of these people that were always saying that stuff, why aren't they ever coming here to support this? Like out of 8 years, you've never been one time. And that's when I started fully understanding that, there's people can say things and just for the public view of it or just for tradition of it, but they don't really mean that themselves. Versus I was someone that always acted on what I wanted to, and I always liked what I like. Like for instance, this happens to me all the time with tacos. A tradition. In some cultures, there's only certain things on their tacos. Like if you really go into an authentic Mexican restaurant, generally they don't have sour cream. But if you go to others, they have sour cream. If I have tacos at home, I put mayonnaise on my tacos. And I got that from my dad. I don't know where he got it from, but I only know of that because of my dad. So certain people will say, ew, you put mayonnaise on your tacos? And I'm like, yeah. Have you ever tried it? No. So what's all the faces for? See, people get into their feelings simply because someone's doing something that's not in their tradition or something that they haven't done. And they don't want to take the time to look and say, hey, maybe I might like that. Maybe I might not like it. But I'm just aware that other people do like it. That's something that I always recognized was that I don't have to like everything else that everyone else likes. And if it's something that I can't necessarily control, then that's where the complaining comes from. That's from all of us. That's what's done in this nation. That's the examples that we've had. When people don't like things and they want them changed, they express that. So that leads me to the sports side of it. You have all these shows, And it's these shows that are making money on the athletes, but they're always talking about them. They're always saying something negative about it. I get when it comes down to someone's play. It's just like critiquing someone at work. I can critique somebody's play during a game, after the game, whatever it is. And it's just about the business. It's about their work and what they're doing. Them off the field is something totally separate. And now I think that line is really beginning to get crossed now. Now we have fans that are telling these young men what to do when they've never even been there. That's like the person telling me that the mayonnaise up on my taco isn't good when they don't even eat tacos, when they've never even tried mayonnaise on a taco, but yet they're telling me, or they're telling the athlete what to do when they've never ever been there. And this is starting to go on a lot now. I think the National Football League has a big part in it. So I can use the Kaepernick protests as my example. I don't know if any other players that want to raise the awareness on police brutality against so-called minorities. I don't know if they ever even just asked the NFL. Did you ever try to get a meeting with them to ask them, hey, this is something that we care about, and we'd like to see the NFL take some action in it. Hey, I'm doing this over here. Can you guys get involved? Can me and my teammates do this? Have you ever asked? Has anyone ever asked the NFL to be a part of it? Kaepernick obviously raised the awareness, and I'm really yet to hear any owner ever speak out on it. I think last year, the Green Bay Packers coach donated some money or something like that in Green Bay, but I think he donated to the police department or something like that. I didn't understand. It was deemed like he did something in support of, but it was like I think he gave money to the police or something. But I've never really seen anything from the National Football League them in support of. But ask, and then put people on notice if they don't want to support, if they don't want to be involved. Just like I talk about my celebrity game, and I started noticing the people that didn't support, that knew of. First it was I never heard of it. I didn't know about it. So then I started making sure that people knew. And I made sure that they knew that I knew that they knew. And I would just wait for the excuse to be the same result of when they didn't know. So I just say that if people aren't supporting the things that you want them to support, don't support their things. So football players, when October comes up and they want you to wear this pink so they can sell the products online and make the fans buy them, you fans that are supporting whatever movement it is, there's a lot of anti-NFL supporters this year. If you guys are really about that and you would like to see them support some other things, don't support the things that they make you support. I don't want to see your kids wearing pink. If you've been over here complaining and doing all this other stuff and pointing the finger and telling the players they should do this and telling them that they should do that, well, that's your part of it. Don't support the National Football League's their time when they want to raise awareness, when they want to use the platform at work, right? This is what they tell all the Kaepernick or the players that want to take a knee. Do it on your own time. Do it in your community. But then they come up in October and say it's Breast Cancer Awareness Month, and the Susan G. Komen, great foundation. And I'm not saying if you want to support breast cancer, go ahead and support breast cancer. I'm not saying that. I'm saying on that platform. You don't have to support it on their platform. Go and support it on your platform. Don't wear pink, right? Don't voluntarily be a part of their platform and supporting their causes when they never want to support yours, right? Like, listen to what they're saying now and apply it to all the same things that they're telling you. Listen to what they're saying and do the same thing, because that's how they communicate. You have to communicate with people how they communicate in the language that they can speak. So if they don't want these certain things on, fans included, if they don't want this stuff to be done up on a certain platform, and everyone else or certain groups of people can't raise awareness on the same platform, don't participate in theirs. That next month, when November comes up and it's the services month, when they want to walk all the people that are involved in services, and they want to make it look like to the public and to the fans that, oh, look, the NFL is behind this, when really, you know, the military has given them $5-6 million to do that. So yeah, you can understand why you wouldn't want a Kaepernick protest to raise awareness when you're actually collecting dollars in advertising the military, which military to me, and everyone says fighting for freedom and the country and the flyover, all this other violence. It has violence and killing with it. But then at the same time, you're finding on the same platform the athletes that shoot an air bow and arrow, or they're dancing, they're doing entertainment, and you're calling, oh, the 6-shooters, these things that little 2-year-olds run around and play with in the athletes' homes cost you $10,000-$12,000 because it's violent. See, it's violent then, you know. So don't wear the little camo. Don't wear the camo. Same thing. The fans that are opposed to it, and when November or whenever the services month is, don't support it on that platform. Remember, tell them to keep that up in their neighborhood. Tell them to keep that up in their community. Don't use this platform for that, right? Right? Because like the platform's not for raising awareness, huh? That's the message that they want to tell you. So listen to them. Use that same, give them the same message back. Don't hop out there with all that pink on. You can still support breast cancer. You can still support the services. Just don't do it on that platform. And that's including the fans, since y'all are the ones up with the voice, and that's who the National Football League is really trying to appease. They're not trying to appease their employees. You know, like I've gone out to Google and I've gone over to Facebook and I see what they do for their employees, right? They like how well they want them to discover things. They're the ones that work there, how they take care of them, how they clean, how they have breaks for if they live close to the facility. They provide daycare, or they pay so much on their cars, and they do all these things because they want their employees to perform well. National Football League players, they just tell you, no, you guys do what we tell you to do. And hey, every once in a while, we're going to need you to, since we accepted some money for this, we're going to need you guys to go ahead and pitch this over here. And but hey, it's going to be in the name of breast cancer for some other foundation. And then they also steal, you know, if you remember when the athletes came out and they had the Beats on, they had the Beats by Dre's on. And then all of a sudden, hey, the NFL says, man, those players are wearing those headphones. Oh, okay, hey, players, we signed a contract with Bose, so now we're going to fine you for wearing those headphones that you were wearing the last 2-3 years. You can't wear those now because we signed a contract with Bose. So they take your platform away from you all the time. But yet, players, you guys go run right out there, and the same thing that they tell you that you can't do, you do. Hey, just listen to what they're saying and stay under that same platform. That's all I'm saying. As soon as I start seeing all the people who didn't support me or didn't support my causes, my events, if they invited me to something, hey, I'm not supporting theirs. And that's just how it is. And there's nothing wrong with that. I think some people act like they have to feel bad about it, but yet we see that. We're seeing that now. You know, like we're hearing the people that want to speak up, which I like to bring this up. You know, I think that some of the Albions don't understand what they're saying. Now, it goes back to my taco with the mayonnaise example. There's some of the Albions that want to tell the Moors what to do. Like there was a guy on my page. I think he was on he was on a friend's post that I was tagged in, and he said, "Oh, the Black Lives Matter, man. The Black Lives Matter needs to start in their own community. Man, they need to start in their own community and deal with black on black crime." And so I just asked him. I said, "What black community are you in?" And he said, "Well, I'm not in the black community." And I said, "Well, how in the hell do you know where in the hell it started at then? How do you know it didn't start there?" So he wasn't really saying start there. He was just saying keep it there. I don't want to see it. That's what he was really saying. And I think that a lot of you guys don't understand, talking about the Albions, they don't understand how you look and how you sound when you're telling someone else something that you've never been involved with. You have an opinion, but you don't have an understanding of. You just have the perspective from your lenses, and you want to tell someone else that whether they look like you or not, they don't have the same experiences as you. They're not in the same situation as you. You know, and I say that to my parents. You know, getting advice from them when I was a National Football League player on certain things didn't go. You know, they've never seen contracts like that. So how from their perspective, they can't look at it from my perspective of actually being in it. And there's a lot of different examples on a lot of different jobs like that. The military, right? I can only have my perspective from it. I'm not in the military, so I don't have an understanding of how they could feel about certain things. I can only listen and hear what they have to say and then go accordingly. So taking that and going back to, let's say, Kaepernick's protest he says he wanted to raise awareness on police brutality. I don't understand anywhere how that's a bad thing. Didn't say anything about doesn't like the military, didn't say he doesn't like the country, but other people run with that because of their tradition. They're placing themselves where he's at, yet they've never been on that platform and never will be. But they want him to do it like they would do it. But yet they would never say they want to raise awareness on police brutality. But they're the ones that have the idea of how to do it. Which, great, we all have a lot of ideas. And just like I'm saying, those need to be voiced. Because sometimes other people might be able to do things a little differently. But I think that should be all of us. We should all want to do things a little differently. It's like I had a post a few days ago bringing up the third stanza of the national anthem. And I said, for me, really, damn that national anthem. That doesn't represent me. Doesn't represent my people. I don't give a damn about it. And that's my choice. And I know that other people do. And I can respect who they are and that they do. But I heard a lot of excuses about why. And, you know, someone said that they choose to deal with its modern meaning of it. And I said, modern meaning, just because the third stanza was left off of it doesn't make it be modern. It's the same version. You're just leaving something off. Something made in 1814 isn't modern in 2017. But I think that what's going on now in the land that we live in is just a lot of other people that have lived a long time without a voice and without an understanding. And now other groups of people are starting to have to hear and see that culture, and they don't like it. And that's fine, but it doesn't change anything, because the other people are still going to continue to like or do the things that they like, just as whoever dislikes is going to do what they do. And to not to tell someone else to simply do something else because you don't like it, that's something up in itself. Whatever you want to call that, whatever adjective you like to give that, go ahead and give it. I've grown up in the Albion culture, in the classes, learning the traditions of, but also being able to go home and live with those traditions and grow up with those from the Bay Area. The Bay Area traditions, we say hella. There's NorCal. My parents are from Texas. I've been able to go back to Houston and to hear all my cousins and to hear all they talk. And they'd make fun of me saying I talk proper when I go back there. So I understood that. They understood where I was from. I understood where they were from, and we look alike. So, and we're the same people, and we have those differences. But yet we also had an understanding of. We still understood that we're family, and just because I talk different and I talk proper, as my cousins would say, we were still family, and nothing changed in their life because I liked different things, or I spoke differently, I dressed differently, and I think that that's what I think it's going to have to go on, because nobody's going anywhere, and I think it's just some people need to get in their mind and get out of the traditions that they've been used to. Well, they can keep their traditions, but they just have to be aware, if they're the ones that are saying America and all this stuff, that they're saying multiple different cultures live here, and people are going to do things a different way. We need to start getting out of telling people what to do. Telling especially athletes. I always like to have something dealing with athletes. We don't tell a lot of people what to do at their job. And sports, it's a game. It's a match. It's whatever it is to the fan watching it, but to the person being in it, it's their job. And there's a lot of different people that are not in the field, and they're trying to tell people what to do. Even guys in the field. We can't project negativity on nothing, right? Like, let's stop projecting negativity on positivity, right? Kaepernick's protest. He wants to raise awareness, right? Lance Armstrong wanted to raise awareness on cancer, right? All the roids and all the stuff that he was doing didn't have nothing to do. What was bad in his sport didn't have nothing to do. He rose the awareness of cancer, right? Autism. If I don't wear the little puzzle pin, does that mean that I don't support it? If I don't wear pink, does that mean that I'm not supporting breast cancer? Right? We don't have to do certain things, and someone doesn't have to do it how you like to do it for it to be positive. Right? Let's stop having negative feelings towards positive things. That's my message. That's my show. Sorry, went on too long. Had a lot of different things to talk about. It's been a lot of things going on up in the world. But let's let's try to be more positive, even with our negative feelings. There's a lot of things I don't like that people do, but I understand that they're not in my life, and I can do what I want to do. I don't have to tell the next man or the next woman to do what Adrian Ross wants to do. Thanks for tuning in to the Adrian Ross Show. Again, leave your comments, whether let's leave them all positive, please. But hey, I'm some guy that I like criticism. That's how you get better. So on this, because hopefully you're not criticizing me as a person, unless you know me to criticize me as that. But hey, if you're criticizing the show, the words I have to say, how I'm delivering them, go ahead. I like all those. I like getting better. Leave those comments down there. Check your boy out, Adrian Ross on Facebook. Got the personal page, the fan page. I'm going to try to switch over to the fan page sometime soon. So please hit the like over there. I'm on Instagram at Adrian Ross _ Backer. That's Mad with 2 D's, MADDBACKER. Twitter, Mad Backer. What else is there? Oh, go to my YouTube channel. I'm about to start putting some things on there on YouTube. YouTube.com/Mad Backer. I got football stuff on there. I have live stuff on there. I have some information for the Moors. Yeah, I have a lot of stuff going on there. Check it out. Like all the stuff. Check the videos out. Comment on there. All right, you guys have a great weekend and appreciate you listening in. All right.